First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not splitting my son's paychecks with his stepbrother? This seems like a no-brainer to me, but in real life, I'm finding myself in the minority of that opinion. I have one bio son, 17 male from my first marriage, and one stepson, 19 male. They both work part-time in retail, and they started around the same time. My current wife's son started working first due to age and just landing a job first. When my son started his job, I started taking 30% of his pay. I matched it 100%, so if I took 150, I added another 150 to it. I never told my son why I was taking his money, and I understand that may be wrong to some people, but I stand by my decision. He knew I was putting it away, but wasn't clear on why. My wife and I don't mix finances. She was in a past abusive relationship, and so I refused to push that subject. However, I did tell her I was doing this and ask her to give it some thought for her child. My wife kind of shocked by it and felt I was doing something terrible by taking his money regardless of the reasoning behind it. She didn't pass harsh judgment or treat me differently, but she certainly thought it was unusual and unnecessary. Well, my son's 18th birthday is in 2 weeks and has been talking about a car and how much he could afford. I laid the entire thing out for him and let him know his budget was much larger than he was thinking. No rules, as it's his money, but I had opinions if he would listen. If not, irrelevant, it's his money. My son was ecstatic, and I have to say, I was about to cry when I saw him tear up and freak out. First time a nearly 18-year-old picked me up and nearly broke my back from a hug. Lol. Well, when my stepson heard about this, he felt it was unfair and my son was being favored. His mother felt the car my son had chosen was unnecessary, and I could help her son with a vehicle by stealing from my son's fund. I refused and told her that it was ridiculous, and she had the same opportunity that I did. She's now saying because my son's education is paid for, it just makes it less fair. His grandparents are paying for college, so I think that argument is moot. My son has told my wife and his stepbrother that most of the money is from his personal checks, and they aren't getting a penny of that. Furthermore, as I added the money, they should be arguing between themselves regarding why his mom didn't save all she could have. Her parents and some friends have brought it up, and my laughing has turned to anger. I'm getting sick of it. And before I shut down, I want to make sure I'm not losing my mind. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Guys, it's in the post. I did tell my wife why I was taking the money and what I was planning to do with it. It was never a secret. Edit 2 per request. My son knew why I was taking his money, but did not know I was matching his deposit. This wasn't done for any reason beyond age. When and I would argue most people that age, was earning money in high school, I spent it as quickly as I got it. I didn't think anyone knew better than me. I just wanted to teach him the value of saving. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. If you split that money, it will forever change the relationship you have with your bio son. Your wife decided to keep finances separate, and that should not change because she doesn't know how to save. The fact that your son has help with college is completely irrelevant. The fact that Opie told his wife what he was doing and suggested she do the same for stepson absolutely absolves him of any wrongdoing regarding the favoritism. I don't necessarily like that he took the money without saying for savings or whatnot, but as his son doesn't think he's an a-hole for it, then I can't really think that either. Not the a-hole. I am sick and tired of entitled people thinking they're owed something they never worked for. It sounds like your son saved money as well. Did your stepson save money? You took 30% of your son's income and he never objected, or at least did not know why you wanted it. Your wife and stepson had the opportunity to do the same. She keeps her finances separate because of prior abuse by a third party. If she knew you were taking the money, did she ever ask? His grandparents paid for his college education. This has nothing to do with you or the other parties. So now, they're trying to manipulate you and make you feel guilty for being a good parent. Screw them. Stepson wasn't super wasteful or anything, but he never saved much. He would save for a while, but that was to buy something he wanted. Like if he wanted a Jersey or Apple product, he would save for it and spend it. He knows how to save, but I don't think he understands rainy days. She knew why I was doing it. She just thought that I should let him keep it all so he could enjoy his youth more. I understood that, but a young person can wait an extra paycheck for most things. A reliable car or the ability to travel the country/world while young is something else. Okay, so she knew about it and wanted him not to save and spend the money. Where does she get off saying her son was shortchanged? It never occurred to her, and by example the stepson, that saving might be a good idea. This is where I'm lost. I don't understand how they're making this leap of logic. She was in a very bad relationship years before we met, and she's very serious with her finances, so it confuses me too. Final update. Wife went to stay with her sister. She's upset after her son saw this post and blew up at her. Pretty sure this is over. She said things to me that I don't think we can come back from. She has a safety net of money because I paid a mortgage, so I'll be going for half of that in a divorce, I guess. My cousin's a lawyer and told me a few years ago I could get half. I talked to my son and told him the money was without question his. He's decided to buy a nice car but saved the rest for his college year so he can focus on his studies. I told him I'm proud, and I hope he wasn't upset that I put away his money without giving him a choice. And he just laughed and said he'd probably have a MacBook he wouldn't use and about 20 more MacPounds. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for agreeing to take in my sister but not my stepsisters when my parents wanted to go on vacation? I, female 20, have a sister, female 17, and two stepsisters, female 15 and female 13. My mom remarried close to 2 years ago. She's been persistent with forcing my sister to have a relationship with her husband and his kids, and because of that, my sister escapes to my house. I live with my boyfriend, male 21, in a 2-bedroom apartment. So my boyfriend and I agreed to let the second room basically turn into my sister's room. She's over almost every other week, after fighting with my mom about her forcing relationship between her and the other 2 girls. On to today's events. My mom and her husband wants to get away for a week. My mom asked if I could take in all 3 girls. They don't trust the girls home alone due to the house being wrecked and a lot more the last time they left them alone. Another story for another day. I said I could take in my sister, but not my stepsisters because 1, I wasn't comfortable having them over when I barely met them, no more than 2 to 3 times, and 2, there wouldn't be enough space. My mom suggested I let them all share the room my sister stays in when she comes over, and I said I wasn't going to force that onto her. She asked if I could just let them sleep on the couch, and I said it wouldn't be right because the couch is small, and even the 13-year-old wouldn't fit. She started getting pissy with me and said she didn't like my favoritism. And how would my stepsisters feel if they knew I didn't want them around, which is not even close to true. And maybe the a-hole here. I told her I didn't care to have a relationship with them and they're strangers to me. I said that I don't hate them, but I can't love them because I do not know them. She said my sister acted the way she did because of the way I behave, which also isn't true. My sister is her own person with her own feelings. I never once told my sister I disliked my stepsisters. All I've said to her was that it was fine if she didn't want to be close to them, that a relationship isn't a relationship if it's forced. My mom said I was an a-hole for forcing them to postpone their vacation and telling her I didn't love my stepsisters. Am I the a-hole here? Edit. My mom's husband has no family, that I'm aware of, outside of his brother and sister. His brother lives 12 plus hours away, and his sister an 8-hour drive. That's how long it took her to travel here for the wedding. Other than that, I don't know any other family he has. The girl's mom passed away when they were pretty young. Now, why my sister isn't interested in being friendly with our stepsisters? My mom has forced her for the last 2 years to share everything she has with them. And when I say everything, I mean everything. Possessions to clothes. I'm sure my stepsisters know they can get away with using her stuff. They lost their mom at a young age, and my mom wants to fill in that spot, and thinks she's doing so by giving them whatever they want. I can go on for days on how my mom has put their wants before my sister's needs. Why I'm not interested in having a relationship with them. Overall, it boils down to how they treat my sister. They're mean to her, and they get away with it because my mom thinks they're trying to fight for attention. I've explained that's not the way to do it, and she thinks she knows best. I think I covered all of the questions and gave more info for those of you who ask. Why are they going on vacation during a pandemic? I do not know. Why she didn't offer me to stay at her house? I don't know that either. But even then, I wouldn't have anywhere to sleep. I could have possibly shared with my sister, but again, she wanted them to come to my house. As far as my sister moving in with me, now or in the future, that's all up to her. She's a really smart girl, and she makes her own decisions. I won't make her feel like she has to move here, but she knows she can if/when she wants to. Now for the top comments. Not an a-hole. Watching 3 teenagers for a week so someone else can go on vacation is a huge ask, family or not. They sound like a handful if they wrecked the house the last time. You were nice to take your sister. Maybe the other girl's mom or other relatives can watch them, or your mom and stepdad can take them along or stay home. Not an a-hole. I wouldn't want to cram 3 teenagers I actually knew and cared for into a 2-bedroom apartment for a week, much less 2 I didn't, and one who came to me to get away from them. Your mother and her husband are the a-hole for not making proper attachments before. Their lack of planning could postpone their vacation. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not telling my family which of my children is biologically mine? I have 2 kids, Clark and Kent. While they have the same father, only one of them is biologically my child. They were born within 6 months of each other. The boys are currently 6, and for various reasons, I have full custody of both of them. I didn't speak to anyone in my family for several years, and we got back in touch in 2019. Due to the boys' ages, my family know I couldn't have carried both, unless I have the gestation period of a hamster or the longest labor ever. I have explained to them how this all came to be, but in my explanation, I neglected to tell them which was my biological child. Due to my ex having a type, the other woman looked enough like me that the boys could pass for twins. Same dark hair, blue eyes, pale skin, and both cleft chins and dimples. My brother jokes that they look like tiny supermen. People who know them refer to them as twins because aside from a few minor differences, they're practically identical. Frankly, if they were closer in age and I'd had full custody of both from the time they were born, I suspect I would have mixed them up a lot as babies. Shortly before Clark's birthday last year, my mom asked if she could see Clark's birth certificate. I asked why, and she said she wanted to know the exact time he was born, so I told her. She asked if she could see the certificate anyway. I asked why. She said she just wanted to check. I said I'm his mother. I know when he was born. Then she asked the same thing about Kent, and we went through the same conversation all over again. Mom eventually admitted that she just wanted to see the birth mother's name on each certificate, which isn't even how that works, and I told her as much. This led to an argument where my stance was that I'm their mother, biology is irrelevant. Mom says if biology is irrelevant, then it's not a big deal to tell her which of them is biologically mine. I said if she's so hung up on biology, then clearly it's a big deal to her, and I don't want it to be a big deal, especially as the boys themselves don't know. Mom feels this is incredibly selfish, narcissistic, and overall wrong. She feels that if biology isn't such a big issue, then I should have no problem telling her whether Clark or Kent is my biological son, and that accusing her of potential favoritism or something similar with her bio-grandchild is an unfair judgment with no actual reasoning to it. My boyfriend agrees that I shouldn't tell anyone, at least until my sons have decided for themselves if they want to know and want other people to know. But my entire family agree with Mom and that I'm being reasonably selfish, and that my actions now are more likely to cause issues than Mom's potential actions later. Am I in the wrong? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. If she ever finds out, your mother will favor the biological grandchild. Otherwise, it wouldn't matter to her who was on the birth certificate. Agreed. I'd be cautious to ensure she doesn't take a swab to their mouth when Mom isn't looking. If Mom isn't close enough to know 1. When her daughter gave birth, and 2. What she named her baby, then I hope the mom isn't allowed to be alone with them long enough to secretly swab them. Not the a-hole totally and completely. You know she's going to make a big deal out of it the way she has pestered you, and getting the family to be her flying monkeys. I sincerely hope you have their birth certificates locked up tight in a safe or safety deposit box, so she cannot say she accidentally came across it. Would she resort to contacting your ex? Would you tell her? If you are cordial with him, or at least if he's a little bit reasonable, would it be a good idea to give him a heads up that your mom is pushing hard to know which boy is yours biologically, and you don't want her to know? We're not cordial, and he's not reasonable, but he's completely uncontactable to my whole family, including me. Truthfully, even if she could contact him, I doubt he'd even remember which son is biologically mine. because he barely even knows their names and birthdays, and he hasn't seen them since they were both under a year old. Now, for the last story, am I the a-hole for not being more supportive of former stepdaughter? When I was 19 to 25, I was in a relationship with Sam, 30 male, the father of Chloe, 1 female. Her mom wasn't in her life, and I sort of stepped in. I was there for almost everything, and we really bonded. Chloe knew I wasn't her bio mom, but she'd still sometimes call me mom. Sam was controlling. The last straw was Sam refusing to let me attend a relative's funeral and hiding my phone and keys from me because he assumed I would leave him. It broke me to leave Chloe, but I had to. My biggest regret is that I left without saying goodbye to her. It's been 7 years. I have a fiancé and a son. On Tuesday, I was added and messaged on Facebook by someone with a name close to Chloe, think Zoe. Empty profile, generic picture. I knew it was her because of the message, "Hi, my name. It's Chloe, I miss you," and an old photo of us. I cried when I saw it. We talked. She asked about my family. I got updated photos and she told me how she was. I felt a huge weight off my shoulders. Not a day has gone by that I don't think of Chloe, and it felt good to know that she's okay. I didn't ask about Sam, and she never went into much about him. Last night, Chloe asked why I left. I tried changing the subject, and I was vague to avoid bad-mouthing Sam, but she vented to me, telling me how hard it was to grow up without a mom, and how upset Sam was. She asked me if I had really left them to be with my fiancé. I didn't even know him then. I told her I hadn't, but she seemed too upset to understand, so I said goodnight. I woke up today to paragraphs and missed voice/video calls from her. It hurts my heart to read. It's obvious that Sam lied to her. She was begging for answers and calling me mom. I told her I didn't leave for someone else. I get why she'd feel hurt, and I'm sorry that I couldn't be there for her. I'm not her mom, and there's nothing I could do. I love her and wish the best for her, but this is a conversation for her and Sam. I told her that while I know she wants a relationship with me, it would be better to wait until she's an adult and not a minor still under Sam's care. I unadded her. My fiancé came home to me being a sobbing mess and was supportive until I told him what I had told her. He had an absent parent growing up. I think this is why it affected him so much. He didn't outright go off, but he implied that I'd left Chloe again. He went as far as to ask me if I'd do this to our son if we split up. It's been hours. My fiancé has shut himself in our room and won't talk to me, and I can't sleep. I struggle with anxiety, and this situation has worsened it. I feel like my fiancé has a point. I've seen what he's gone through and how he still struggles, and I don't want to do that to Chloe. I can't undo the past, but I'm thinking of reading her and trying to hear her out. I thought setting the boundaries I did would help, but it's only hurt my fiancé, so God knows how Chloe feels. I feel terrible and confused. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. I think you made the best decision in the moment, but I think that Chloe reaching out to you is important. If I were in your position, I would unblock her and be honest why you left her father while reassuring her that you did not leave because of her. I would also keep the line of communication, reassure her that you care for her and that you will be there for her. Let her know that she had nothing to do with why you left. Let her know that you care for her and always will, but also that as she's still a minor, her father will have a say in how you can communicate. Does your fiancé often makes things that are frankly none of his business all about him? This 1,000 times. If he can't differentiate between OP escaping an abuser and what happened to him, that's his problem. If OP was less kind, she could corner him and ask him if he thinks she should have stayed with an abuser for the child's sake, and if he's planning to try and abuse her next if he's worried about what happens to their kids in that situation. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.